A manager fired the 65-year-old janitor, but didn't know she was the CEO. It was a chilly Monday morning when the employees of Harper Industries filed into the building, holding their coffee cups and complaining about deadlines. Among them was a quiet, gray-haired woman pushing a cleaning cart. Her uniform was simple, blue overalls, worn sneakers, and a name tag that simply read, Martha. Most people barely noticed her. She arrived before everyone, cleaned the floors, replaced the bins, and disappeared before the day truly began. But this Monday was different. Martha was seen wiping down the glass doors of the executive floor when Ryan, the newly appointed operations manager, walked by. He was in his early 30s, ambitious, confident, and known for running a tight ship. He stopped, watching her polish the already spotless glass. "Excuse me," he said sharply. "Who authorized you to clean here right now? The executive meeting's in 15 minutes. Martha smiled politely. "I was told to finish this section early. It'll only take a few minutes, sir." Ryan frowned. "That's not the point. You're in the way. I expect professionalism here, not excuses. Leave the area immediately." She nodded quietly, packing up her supplies without argument. But as she walked away, a few papers from her cart slipped and scattered across the floor. Ryan sighed audibly and muttered, "Unbelievable." Later that day, an email circulated through the office tour. "Attention effective immediately. The janitor assigned to the executive floor has been relieved of her duties for unprofessional behavior." The most employees didn't think twice. It was just another ordinary decision in corporate life, but the head of HR looked uneasy. "Are you sure about this, Ryan?" she had asked. "She's been here only 3 days. Ryan shrugged. 3 days were enough. We can't tolerate incompetence. The next morning, an emergency meeting was scheduled. Everyone assumed it was about quarterly targets. Ryan took his seat confidently, flipping open his notebook, but then the door opened. And in walked the same elderly woman from yesterday. Except this time she wasn't wearing overalls. She wore a tailored gray suit, silver jewelry, and an expression that commanded silence. The executives immediately stood up. Ryan froze in confusion. The HR director whispered, "Ryan, meet Mrs. Martha Collins. She's the founder and CEO of Harper Industries." Ryan's mouth went dry. What? Martha took her seat at the head of the table. "I'm sorry to interrupt your morning," she began calmly, her tone steady. "I decided last week to visit my own company under a different identity. I wanted to see how things function at the ground level. How my people are treated when no one's watching." No one dared to speak. The only sound in the room was the soft hum of the air conditioner. Her eyes moved toward Ryan. "Yesterday, I was told I was in the way. I was fired for cleaning glass that was already clean." She paused. But what struck me most wasn't the act itself. It was the tone, the lack of patience, the assumption that someone's worth is tied to their position. Ryan swallowed hard, his face pale. "Mom, I didn't know. If I had." "That's the point," she interrupted gently. "You didn't know. And yet you judged." The silence lingered. Every manager in that room looked down, suddenly questioning how many times they had overlooked the quiet people who kept the company running. The ones who never demanded attention. Martha continued, her voice softening. "This company was built on respect. I started as a janitor myself. Every role, no matter how small it looks, matters here." She stood, adjusting her blazer. "Ryan, I don't fire people to humiliate them. But I do believe in accountability. You'll take a week off. During that time, you'll work alongside the maintenance and janitorial teams. Learn what they do, then we'll talk again." Ryan's voice cracked slightly. "Yes, ma'am." When she left the room, everyone exhaled as if they had been holding their breath for hours. Later that day, Ryan walked through the same hallways where Martha once cleaned, the same floors he had walked over without noticing. For the first time, he noticed how spotless they were, How quiet dedication could go unseen for years. And somewhere in the corner of the building, the janitors looked at him differently. Not with anger, but with quiet understanding. The next week, Harper Industries felt different. People smiled more, doors were held open. Names were remembered. And in a way no meeting could ever accomplish. One act of truth had reminded everyone that titles may define your job, but not your worth. Ryan returned to the office a week later, his shoes scuffed, his shirt sleeves rolled up, his hands slightly blistered from scrubbing floors and carrying supplies. But something in him had changed. He no longer walked with the same proud stride. Instead, he greeted everyone he met, the security guard, the receptionist, even the janitorial staff, with genuine warmth. He had spent 7 days working side by side with the people he used to overlook, learning their names, their stories, their struggles. He saw how one of the cleaners, an older man, stayed late every night just to make sure the lobby shone for the next morning. How another woman, a single mother, quietly skipped lunch so her son could have a better one at school. Each of them carried silent battles, yet they smiled through them. When Martha, the CEO, returned from a business trip, she found Ryan waiting for her in the lobby. Not in a suit, but in the same janitor's uniform he had worn all week. "I wanted to thank you," he said sincerely. "Not for the punishment, but for the lesson. I used to think leadership meant control. Now I know it means understanding." Martha smiled, her eyes soft. "That's how true leaders are made, Ryan. By seeing people, not positions." From that day forward, Ryan started a new program in the company. One that allowed employees from every level to shadow each other for a day. Executives spent time on the factory floor, and janitors were invited to attend team meetings. Slowly, walls came down. People began to talk, not just about work but about life, about dreams, about the things that made them human. The company culture shifted. The break room was no longer divided by titles. "Good morning," echoed from everyone to everyone. And the once cold corporate space began to feel more like a family. Months later, during the annual company gathering, Martha stood on stage and looked at the crowd of hundreds, engineers, cleaners, assistants, executives, all sitting together, no hierarchy visible. She smiled and said softly, "It's easy to build a company, but it takes kindness to build a legacy." The applause that followed wasn't just for her. It was for what they had all become together. A place where respect wasn't earned by title, but by heart. And in that moment, everyone in the room understood something profound. Sometimes, the greatest promotion in life isn't moving up. It's learning to look around.